Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about data acquisition. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, I am a beginner. I always like to build my own projects, for example, news and weather apps. But my problem is that I can't find the content itself, this like the stuff that I need to put in a database. And so I wondered, how do you find that data? So the short answer is that there's two ways that you find data usually. One way is through user input, and one way is through accessing already existing data that has been inputted from someone else. Let me explain that a little bit. So it depends on the type of data that you want. But let's say if you take a look at social media as an example. Now, the way that Facebook and Instagram and like all these different companies get their data is through you, through the person using the system. Like you're liking things, you're adding comments, and like all of this stuff. So that's the data that they are getting their data into their database by that system. You are giving it to them basically. Now, if I, on the other hand, as a solo developer, would want to use say your social media data, such as the stuff that is on Facebook, well, then I would have to use the data that they have acquired. Now, so Facebook gets it through users, but there are other companies such as, let's say, weather systems. Like if you want weather data, there are companies and institutions who actually have sensors and different automated systems that just measure, air moisture and wind patterns and all of this stuff. And they actually have sensors that just feed that data into massive databases. But that is the second part then. I haven't acquired the data from my own system. I need to get it from someone else. Now, usually the way that you go about that is also in two ways. You can either access an API of some sort. In other words, someone is giving you access to their databases to actually get their data. And an example would be of this, if you can basically go on Google right now, free APIs, and find different APIs that people are hosting where you can just access their data. You usually have to create an account or something like that. Same thing goes for if you want to do like a GitHub integration or something like that. Well, you can actually go and like sign up for GitHub, and it's pretty much free depending on like how much you're going to gather, right? And you can just follow their documentation and get the data that they actually have in their databases and pull it into your own application. This and there are also paid APIs where you have to pay a fee because they have data that is, well, it's price data. Sometimes it's because they want to run a company, and sometimes it's because it costs a lot of money to get that data. It's high value data, so you need to pay for it. But that's usually how it goes. You just go and read their documentation, and they will give you a URL with some token or something like that. And then if you create a network request to that API with the token and the right query parameters, they're going to send you the data. The second way to do it is through scraping, or web scraping as we call it. Now, web scraping is basically where you go and have like an automated system, a headless browser, or just a network call or something like that to a website. So let's say that you wanted to scrape the top 10 search hits on Google for cats. Now, Google has an API, so you don't necessarily have to do it that way, but let's say for the sake of argument that that's the way you wanted to do it. Well, then you could actually go to the URL, like the web page where the cats are going to be, and just grab the HTML right off the page, and then you could remove all the HTML, and there is the text, like with all the cats. It's the second way, and this is extremely common, and it's, by the by, it is legal to do this. You can go, because the public web pages are public information, so at best it's going to be a legal gray zone in some cases, but for the most part it's considered legal practices to go to any web page, pull down the information on that web page, and just extract it out and then use it for yourself, unless there's some copyright infringement. I'm not saying, don't get stupid with this. Don't go and like scrape, I don't know, lyrics to music or stuff like that and then post it as your own content. That's a whole different deal. We're talking about safe information here that is not like copyrighted or trademarked or something like that. So what I want you to take away from this is that the way that you get data for your applications, if you want to do web apps or like weather apps or whatever, is one of two ways. Either you get someone else puts in the data, like a person sits and puts in the data, or you get it from some external person. And usually the way that you get it from an external thing is either there's an API that you can find where they just give you the data, or you have to pay for it, and then you can just grab it and get it into your system, or you screen scrape and you go to, say, a weather forecasting website, and you grab it directly from their website or things like that. Just make sure that you're not grabbing data that is illegal for you to have. Have a great day.